ALCS on a very windy night in the Bronx, and in the top of the third, with the runners at first and second and the Astros down 1-0, George Springer, with one swing of the bat, took all the wind and all of the air directly out of the stadium. That's a 3-run shot off Masahiro Tanaka, his 13th career postseason home run, passing his teammate Jose Altuve for most in Astros history, so it's 3-1. Bottom of 5 now. Runner at first with 1 out. Yanks down 3-1. Zach Greinke walks Aaron Judge, and that's going to be the night for Greinke. 4 1/3 for him, 3 hits, gave up the 1 run, struck out 5. Ryan Presley would walk Aaron Hicks. Bases are loaded for Gleyber Torres. The lone Astro fan is excited. There we go. He gets 2 outs for the Yankees as Torres can't pull that one back. Look at the Astro fan. He's excited. Presley then facing Edwin Encarnacion. And this is the story of the series to this point. The Yankees with runners in scoring position. During the regular season, they hit .294, the best in baseball. In this series, hitting .164 through 25. And then the lights go out right here. That's Carlos Correa in the 6th, turning a 3-1 game into a 6-1 game. A 3-run shot of Chad Green. Correa and Springer homering in the same postseason game for the 6th time. Yankee fans in disbelief. Astros up 6-1. And that was about all she wrote. However, there was a bit of drama still to come on the night last night, and it was tough to watch for a great competitor. And CC Sabathia, who's been a colleague of ours here at ESPN. You see him as he throws that pitch. He's in obvious discomfort with the arm. He would try to stay out there. In the end, he knew he couldn't do it. You see the emotion in his face as he comes off the field. The respect from both sides for CC Sabathia. Probably the end for him last night, and maybe the end for the Yankees as well. Astros, an 8-3 win, a 3-1 series lead.
We got to play our game. You know, that's a really great team over there. They can score runs with the best of them, and I don't expect them to quit at all. So, you know, just we'll play our game, we'll hand the ball to JV, and we'll see what happens.
We played poorly tonight. There's no other way to explain it, and we need to flush this immediately.
So this is going to be a tough mountain for the Yankees to climb. The last time they came back from 3-1 down in a best-of-7 series was 1958. They did it against the Braves, and it was so long ago. Those were the Milwaukee Braves back then, before they had moved to Atlanta. So that's the bad news if you're a Yankee fan. Let me give you the good news by bringing in David Ross, our baseball analyst, because, Rossi, you were on the last team that came from 3-1 down to win a playoff series. It was the Cubs in the 2016 series. So give us a sense of the mentality when you're down 3-1 of how a team works its way back and ultimately, in your case at least, winds up winning the series.
Well, they got to find something to rally around, and I think CC Sabathia might be that guy, might be that mantra they can kind of grab onto and just spin it a little bit positively. I thought the game ended really poorly for the Yankees. Some sloppy play at the end, very unenergetic. Their concentration level seemed low. I didn't like the way that looked going into this next game. But, you know, you got to find that little details, pitch to pitch, at bat to at bat. I know that sounds cliche, but you really got to find something to keep that concentration locked in. It's about winning the small battles, get this win, have one fall. They've been having good at bats. Getting guys on base, having something fall in for them is going to be key. Get that big offensive machine rolling. That's how they're going to win.
Well, and in order to do it, they're going to have to do it against Justin Verlander tonight. And, Rossi, as a former catcher yourself, what are you seeing in Verlander right now?
Well, he's just a surgeon of the strike zone. I mean, he's got the great stuff, just like Garrett Cole does, but he knows how to read swings. He knows how to read hitters. He has an uncanny ability to remember how he got a guy out, maybe what they might be looking for, and testing that with pitches. He'll throw pitches out of the strike zone. He'll throw some fastballs up and in, some sliders down the way, reading the body language of the hitter. He has got such a feel for how he got those guys out. And to the Yankees' credit, you get a little bit more, some confidence facing a guy the second time in such a short time in between. So I think advantage Yankees for this go round. But Justin Verlander, he's a surgeon out there on the mound.
Well, we'll have to see again. The Yankees will have to win this game tonight to have any chance to keep it alive. David Ross, enjoy the weekend. Thank you very much for jumping in here this morning. We'll have more on the baseball as we go. Now, to the Sunday NFL schedule. Let's go over some of the key storylines for the biggest game of the day, which will be played as the last game of the day. Eagles and Cowboys. Philly off its worst loss of the season against the Vikings for the first time in franchise history. Meanwhile, Dallas has lost 3 straight games after starting a season 3-0. Carson Wentz, 5th in the NFL in total QBR, 12 touchdowns, 4th most in the sport. He's been an underdog against Dallas twice in his career, lost both games. Dak Prescott leads the NFL in total QBR. He's 3rd in passing yards, and he was asked about getting up to play his division rival.
Right now it's about focusing on ourselves. Like how much does this mean to you? We're 3-3. We're in a spot with a chance to play a big-time game, to play a division rival, somebody that we're very familiar with, know they're familiar with us. If you can't bring your best for this game, and if you can't prepare your best each and every day, as I say, something's wrong with you. So I know I am. I know a bunch of these guys are, and we'll be ready to go.
You know, it's obviously a huge game with enormous implications in the division, but I feel like all week, at least on this show, it has also become a referendum on the 2 quarterbacks who were drafted the same year with totally different expectations. Right now, if I told you you could have one or the other quarterback, are you taking Wentz or are you taking Dak?
I'm taking Wentz. I've been someone who's been a big supporter of his and someone who really believes in what he has both mentally and physically as far as makeup is concerned. Although, look, Dak is someone who you support and you have to give him his props and you have to respect him as well. Carson's been kind of operating at a deficit this year ever since game 1 in terms of the weaponry that he's had around him. And there's no way of getting around that. Alshon missed multiple games. Deshaun has not played in almost a month. And quite honestly, his wide receiver core has let him down in terms of the number of drops. So for him to still be top 5, top 10 in passing efficiency is quite honestly, it's remarkable. Not to mention the fact that they continue to have to play from a deficit because the defense has just been bludgeoned.
Now, Sanchez may fight you on this because
Yes.
you are the president of the Dak Prescott
That's
fan
right.
club. Do you remain that despite the Jets and Sam Darnold taking him apart last Sunday?
I absolutely do. As Dak's in-house counsel, I'd like to say. No, honestly, I just want us to talk about Dak the same way we talk about all these other quarterbacks. When things aren't right around him, I hope we're talking in a fair way. He hasn't had all his weapons either. Tyron Smith hopefully is back this week. That changes everything. If they get that running game going, when Randall Cobb and Amari Cooper are healthy, we saw what happened those first couple weeks. And when things aren't right on offense, when we're going for it on 4th down instead of kicking a field goal and then we give up a 96-yard touchdown, that was the game last week. I'm sorry, the Jets aren't a very good football team right now, but they found some momentum in those 2 plays back-to-back.
Yeah, you mean when you go for it on 4th down and run a quarterback sweep.
That was
to the left
issue.
side with your
Not
offensive
just
tackle
go
out
for
of
it,
the
but
game.
What was it? That didn't jive.
Well,
with
it
me.
is
I'm
one
sorry.
of the reasons there's been a lot of questions about the Cowboys coaching this week.
Yeah.
But why don't you break a tie here? You going Carson or you going Dak?
Don't.
I'm going to have to go with Dak.
Thank you.
For the main reason is this Eagles secondary, Lewis.
But he doesn't play secondary. He doesn't play in the secondary.
I know,
pick
but
him
that's not the
against
question.
them. He's going.
Pick him
It's a
apart.
much more advantageous situation. The Eagles' top 3 corners, when they are targeted, their passer rating is 121. Pat Mahomes last year was 114.
Hold on. So you're saying who's going to win this game? Not who. We're asking who would you pick if you were starting a football team?
I thought we were picking who's going to be better in this game on Sunday.
What about if you're picking a team?
Well,
period.
This might determine the whole division or who makes the playoffs because the NFC's crowded. I don't know if
I'm worried about
NFC
the Eagles.
East
I'm worried.
is getting 2 teams in. I think they're getting 1. So whoever wins this,
no doubt.
You know, I think there are a lot of people who are of the opinion that the Eagles may have blown their biggest opportunity of the year this week by not being the team that acquired Jalen Ramsey. If there was one team in the sport that felt like it was Jalen Ramsey away from winning the Super Bowl, I think it was the Eagles.
Or let's just say a Jalen Ramsey away from, making sure that they're a serious contender in the end, and that at least they're a Final Four team. No question about it. Look, they have nobody really in the back end who can cover. You saw what Minnesota did to them. They were picking them apart. They were saying, here, Adam, you have one. Stephon, you have one. Adam, you have one. Stephon, you have one. It's not good enough. You've heard rumblings out of there already from other players saying we dropped the ball on this. I can tell you this, though. They were aggressive in trying to acquire him.
It's not for lack of trying.
I mean, what was given up for him?
Every week.
Look, what the Rams gave up for him, I don't know many teams that would have done that.
The Rams gave up 2 first-round picks, and they will still have to sign him to what we assume will be an enormous contract.
Question.
Was it worth it? I guess time will tell. We will make predictions on that game as we continue. We are just getting started on this Football Friday here. Still coming on Get Up. The Broncos are going nowhere fast. So which NFL team should be calling John Elway right now and making an offer for Von Miller? It certainly feels as though that is one to watch over the next 2 weeks and ahead. Before he even plays a real game, is there serious concern about Zion's health? Woj with the latest on the knee.